Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Quorum Podcast. This is where academic medicine meets remote, austere, and resource-limited areas. Welcome back to the Quorum Podcast. Today I am with Teija Pietiläinen, who is a nurse with the Red Cross, and she has a lot of experience in difficult areas in the world. Hello, Teija. Welcome to the program.
Hello, Aebhric. Thank you for inviting me.
So tell me about yourself and the work you're doing.
Okay. Hello. My name is Teija Pietiläinen. I'm coming from Finland, and I have been nurse about 25 years. And at the moment, I've been working in the more like pre-hospital care in ambulance and patients transportation in the like a flight nurse. But at the same time, I'm also doing like humanitarian aid work as a Red Cross delegate. I've been delegate about 10 years, so I'll be working as in the National Society in Finland, like emergency response unit, different countries, different settings, what I can talk later on more. And also I just came from the South Sudan with the ICRC, what is also working like a war wounded patients.
Yeah, we definitely want to talk about South Sudan and your experiences there. Before we talk about South Sudan, I met you in Malta. How did you come across the college and what courses did you take with us?
Yeah, thank you for the Malta course. And it was very nice to meet you and very, very useful for me. And I don't know, is it my lucky stars or what is happening in the universe? But I was doing some of the emergency nurse project in the Finland in the oil industry, and we were like emergency nurses who were taking care of the constructions. There was like 5,000 people around the Europe and many countries, and there I found some Finnish paramedic who was actually, I think he was kind of the teaching with you or having these courses. And that Mikko, greetings to Mikko, if you ever are listening that, I haven't seen you after that. He was telling excellent and interesting stories about what you're doing in the Quorum. And straight away I Googled it, and I always wanted to be like a flight nurse. And then I found that you have your flight paramedic course as well, and the remote medicine course. So it was more like what I needed about the working in the field hospital. So I took like the TTMS, like tropical medicine online course, and also the ICARE critical care course. And I have found they both very useful for me, what I'm doing at the moment.
So you did the ICARE, the intensive care for austere remote environments. Has that helped your practice at all in remote areas?
Yeah, actually the last time when I was I don't know, are we allowed to go to South Sudan already? But there I was doing like med-evac. We were two nurses doing the med-evac. So we have like 2 helicopters and 7 patients.
So you were in Sudan at the time you were taking our courses. So you then went back to South Sudan after.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, after that. So I really need these skills when we were taking med-evac for these 7 war wounded patients who were having the like fights about 2 days before. So yes, I needed these skills.
You attended the course last summer, and that's 9 months ago. And Sudan was a bit more stable then, if you can call it that, than it is now. So tell us about Sudan. Tell us about your experiences in Sudan and what you learned.
Yeah, for me, it was like a first time working in the ICRC, which is working with the war wounded. And I'm not sure if people know that the South Sudan have been independent about 10 years ago from the Sudan. But the conflict in the whole Sudan have been beginning for the 1978 when the ICRC also first time went there about the ongoing unstable conflict area. Like in 2013, there was 10 years ago, the independence war against South Sudan and Sudan. And after that, there have been the whole time like outsiders, resident and mobile staff about doing more medical, like a surgical team work. because there is a lack of the healthcare, lack of the knowledge, lack of the people who can do about surgical war wounded patients' care. So it was all the time, it was very fragile situation. You never know when attacks can happen. And there is a lot of power instability, who will be the leader, unmilitary groups and military groups and many groups which are fighting about the power and the natural resources. And I think that's the situation what had been happened in the Darfur and leading to the Khartoum area. Darfur area, is also so near about the South Sudan border, and there have already been about violences inside the country. So I'm really been afraid about what will happen in the South Sudan as well, because quite often these complicated conflicts, they are going to spare very fast.
Indeed. So you were based in Khartoum?
No, I was based in the South Sudan, in Juba. And there was also, it wasn't in any that kind of conflict, but all the time, every day, there was some changings about the governmental and military. So you never know when they will be not so unconscionable anymore to each other, and they're taking about the arms. So it was fragile all the time.
Interesting. I'm fascinated with the practice of healthcare in these austere environments. So tell me, what was your setup there? What were you in was it pre-hospital? Were you treating locals? Were you just treating expats? Or what was your job like?
Yeah, so I was happy because I was doing my first onboarding ward nurse mission in the ICRC. So it was there have been a hospital 10 years, which have been sparing all the time. It was with the Juba Military Hospital, 2013 when the conflict began, and ICIC beginning to start giving about the support for the South Sudan with that surgical medical team. The South Sudan military and government wanted some healthcare support. And ICIC was starting to co-working with that Juba Military Hospital. And it's a government-run hospital where is coming all the patients around the country. And ICRC is only working with the war wounded, and it always can be like a revenge killing in different parts of the country. So the ICRC is also having that flight patient transportation from the different area, whereas the sub-delegations who are looking about the criteria the patients can be, they are fit to fly for having the surgical treatment in that hospital. So it's mostly there is 2 hospitals in the whole country which are doing that war wounded surgical care. So there have to be very limited criteria who will benefit about that they will survive. And mostly it had been first beginning for the men's, but now we have found out that there is more about also civilians, also woman, pregnant woman, also children. So all the guidelines, all the hospital settings have to be think about again differently.
Wow. So you were doing surgical care. Were you in surgery as well, with assisting with reconstructive and damage control surgery?
Yeah. There was a damage control surgery, and mostly because of the acute emergency surgical. I was doing a patient transportation. I was also in the HDU. I was also supporting nurses in the different ward. And one night when there came about it was 4 medevac patients, and 3 of them need about the laparotomy straight away. So there was only our mobile staff because the resident staff have to go home before the 6 o'clock because the security reason. So we were carry on with our teams until the 10 o'clock. And of course there are security things, how to take care of us home after that. So yeah, I was doing different kind of things because I've been working so long time. So it was interesting.
Wow. So you were driving around Sudan with war wounded, and I mean, was it dangerous to transport these patients?
And that situation, it was more like a fragile, because we went to the area where was when we were landed. I was looking; it was like in movies where you're looking up at some Vietnam War movies where are the people in the bush, you can see them up, and the UN soldiers. So I was wondering what will happen here. But at the moment, we noticed that there was some kind of the more revenge skills in some tribes, and there wasn't any attack for the humanitarian aid workers at the moment. And also, ICRC also have talking about a lot of like healthcare interchanger issues for the military groups and some tribes and the people, civilians around the country, that they know that not affecting the healthcare workers. But of course, it was mostly challenging. It was so hot and worry about the patients. And of course, it's not like in the Finland when you're doing patient transportation or some safe country. You're actually in the whole time in the mission, you're having like the more instincts and more prepared all the time that something might be happened. You keep your radio on, electricity on, and your safe rooms on, that you know that 2 minutes and you're ready to go to save. So at the moment, I didn't felt like a danger, but I have been like ready all the time.
Wow. So how is, I mean, you're driving in a war zone, and well, you have a checkpoint with one side of the conflict, and then you drive through and you have another checkpoint with the other side of the conflict. How are you treated between the two warring factions?
Yeah, that's actually also there some knowledge and information what the protection delegates are doing with the IC. I see that they are trying to give the information that every patient, every people who are war wounded will give the nursing and the surgical care. And it's not about what side. It's not taking the side, not giving opinions, and it was sometimes difficult in the hospital when you saw that there were different tribes people in the same ward, and they were kind of course we have to think about that they are not feeling themselves unsecure there. So when they are fighting to each others and they are bringing to the same hospitals, there was many things. It still carry on about the diplomacy and neutrality, what you have to think all the time.
Wow. So you never had any problems with two enemies in the same ward?
Maybe it was because I don't understand the language, and also they have their own languages that they are not always understand each other's. And many of these African countries, because they have so many tribes and so many languages, it's almost about they can notice each other about how they habit and are they long or are they like short persons, but mostly because they are wounded, and if there are some like example external fixation, they can't move and so on. So it's quite safe, and it's always no guns sign in the outside of the hospital, so they know still not bringing guns to the hospital.
That's interesting. It's like a safe zone, so they can be in conflict with each other, but they can be side by side in the hospital and be fine.
Yeah, but it's only decision if you want to survive and have the treatments. Then another choice is to be in the bush by yourself, and because there is not healthcare like services. So yeah, it's a decision what you want to choose.
Wow. So if the ICRC wasn't there, where would these people go? What treatments, what facilities are available for the war wounded?
It's so difficult. They might be so in the bush that there are not any transportation for any healthcare systems. Some of them have some traditional healers. Some of them might have some local clinics, but some of them might have some like sub-delegations where it's like basic health, the public health needs. But mostly, okay, you can stop about the bleeding, like a life-threatening bleeding. But after that, it might be that if you are not having surgical cleaning for that, like recovering cleaning, the patient might have the infections and have sepsis and died. So there is no healthcare facilities, and it's difficult.
I've read some of those traditional healers are putting camel dung into wounds and probably making it a lot worse.
Yeah, you never know. I can't say because I don't have any experience about them.
So during your time there, what would be a a memorable patient? Is there one case that stands out in your memory and it affected your day-to-day living?
Okay, maybe it was one 12 years old girl who was having the gunshot for the faces. And when she was in the HDU, she was very under the blanket with the nasogastric tube and the tracheostomy and all these. There wasn't any external fixation for the mandibula, but some kind of the support, what they made a surgical treatment. And after weeks and the weeks, she went to the ward. And when she actually the first time got all these tubes off, and she was smiling and walking outside, and she eyes was so bright and lightning that I really felt like inside my soul that that's good way we are treating them. They are happy, and maybe it's the children. They are so nice when they are recovering.
Wow. That is remarkable to be shot in the face and then being able to walk out with a smile at the end of that.
Yeah, and because the the gunshot for the faces and the woman, so it's she recovered and she was smiling and going back home with mother.
Imagine if she had gone to one of those remote healthcare clinics or a local healer, her chances of being. Wow.
Yeah, that's true.
This is all through the ICRC, the Red Cross. What made you choose to join the ICRC?
That's a very good question. Actually, haven't been thinking, but when I first realized that I was sitting in the nursing school, and I really didn't think ever I will be the nurse. For that moment, I was more and more exciting about more complicated and more acute, more emergency, more difficulties in the healthcare setting. So I just, when I get in about that medical and nursing science, I was more exciting about the remote and where it's coming a lot of challenges. So I was always wanted to go to see like war wounded patients and also doing the difficult med evacs. So I was very happy. I don't know, it was my destiny or something. I don't know. I'm lucky stars again.
Did you get to choose Sudan? So you joined the ICRC. Do they sit down and say, okay, where do you want to go?
No, it's actually quite, it's my passion what get me through all the educations and trainings and the interviews and language tests for them. And then I was accepted for the pool before the COVID, and then happened to COVID, global pandemic, and it stopped like everything. And then they offered for me after that, because I have been in the list that there is the place if you wanted to go. And they were also asking from our National Society of Finnish Red Cross that if I'm kind of the staff of loan, if they can give me to go. And it's actually the South Sudan have been the place they have been many times sending people to maybe testing, are we available and are we good to do that job?
So once you've done this deployment, do you have a choice on the next one with ICRC?
Actually, the situation, they have been talking it will be a little difficult at the moment. Financial difficulties because of the COVID and the Ukraine crisis. And they deployed me for the rapid deployment team that if there's coming kind of the fast ongoing, so they might ask me to go. But I'm also like the emergency response unit in Finland, who are working with the different countries, national societies. So I've been doing many things, different kind of things. So my profile will be good for the natural disasters or man-made disasters, some field hospitals or mobile clinics or patients transportation. So I'm really happy waiting for this next mission. And I don't know if there's coming the Syria in the beginning of the summer. Let's wait that.
All right. So when you did your first job at ICRC, did they give you any additional training before sending you to Sudan?
Yeah, this is for me the first in the ICRC, but I have been coming the Red Cross 10 years ago, so I have my own training in the Finnish Red Cross, and they are kind of connected. So there have been many of the training these last 10 years for me. But they didn't give any special training for that. It's about the profile, what they are looking for, if there are people capable. And after that, if they are accepting, after an interview, there's coming about these like 7 principles and the basic need about the organization. So
when you went to the Sudan, is there any training that you wish you could have had that would have prepared you more?
No, actually, that moment there was also ICRC is having kind of the war wounded training, but it's more like surgical and anesthesis doctors. So I really like what the quorum gave me in the ICARE. So I recommend that to everyone. And also I recommend about the tropical medicine if you want to like a field hospital. You never know what the patient might have. They might have mainly they are like a public health needs which are coming to acute because of the conflict and the lack of the health care. But there is always about some trauma, some small trauma what might happen when they are running away if there's some earthquake hitting to you. So whatever people want to do, don't specialize too much for the one. Do get knowledge about the many things, so it will be much easier because people are having in conflict setting many different kind of the needs.
So did you see any tropical diseases in Sudan?
No, I didn't. There was like a tetanus, but the patient was before that. And probably we're thinking about some patient that might have like a yellow fever. And he came about the war wounded and we did a laparostomy, but the surgeons say that it might be something tropical disease what have destroyed his abdomen before that. So it was really interesting when we are opening the stomach. Is there some like a clean normal war wound or something, but there was something extra. We didn't understand what is that. So sometimes this wound might, and there's some shooting might save someone's life. It's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. If you come in for a war wounded and then you open them up and find a tropical disease or the remnants, the scars from visceral leishmaniasis or something that would definitely alter the abdomen. That's interesting.
Yeah, and of course the malaria. It's
So, do you know what kind of malaria they had?
Mostly about the normal symptoms of the malaria, and I didn't remember what is the most common there because there's 200 different kind of the mosquitoes and different kind of the malaria. So the most common malaria, many of them have them and have some antibiotic for that, and that's for your specialty. I didn't make that course yet.
Yeah, fair enough. I can imagine if they're there for war wounded, malaria isn't as high on the list of fixing their problems than their gunshot wounds. So I understand that. So now that you're back, what's your 10-year plan? What are you going to do next?
Yeah, for the next years, I really would like to do these like humanitarian aid missions for different organizations and different conflicts and different natural disasters. And meanwhile, I'm in Finland. I would like to do like my normal day job in the like ambulance or the patient's transportation. And of course, if there's coming kind of the projects like last year, I was coordinating the mobile clinics in Finland for the reception centers when was coming the Ukrainian conflict and a lot of people movements. So I don't know, the world will decide what will happen. So that I will do, maybe write a book.
I think you should write a book. You definitely have a lot of interesting stories to add on to that. You just joined NATO. So Finland is now a NATO member. Has that changed anything for you in the Red Cross?
No, at the moment, but I think it's from the civil war against the Russian 1939 to the 40. Finland have decided to be like very diplomacy and doing like a business and cultural changing with the neighbor relationships. So, but I think behind that have all time been like the preparedness. And it had been like a silent preparedness, and mostly I think it had been working with the silent preparedness with the NATO before, and maybe changing about the trainings, maybe changing that we are having more carry on about the training with like Baltian countries, EU and the NATO together, being more international as well, even it's haven't saw that before. So yeah, I hope we will have a lot of challenge to change about the knowledges to different countries and supporting each other these times.
Yeah, that's what NATO is about. That's what EU is about as well, supporting each other and being part of a team. And now you're part of the NATO team as well. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's good.
You've popped up on the Quorum radar off and on for a while, taking online CPD courses, and then you attended some courses in Malta. And we're delighted to have you as one of our alumni, and we look forward to seeing what you can do as you move forward in your career.
Yeah, let's see what will happen next. Yeah, all these courses, what I have found from you, it's really have been supporting and giving me more idea what I want to do. So I recommend to everyone.
Good deal. Well, thanks for being on a guest on the podcast. That was quite interesting to hear your input on Sudan and on your experiences.
Thank you very much, and I'm happy to carry on your courses and see you someday, some places again, and welcome to Finland as well.
This has been a presentation from the College of Remote and Offshore Medicine Foundation. If you would like to earn CPD credit for this podcast, you can join the Council of Members. Being a member of the college gives you free CPD credits, free access to the virtual field guide, and discounts on our e-learning courses. You can join the team on the college website, which is Quorum, Quorum.org.